to Corporate Insights Unplugged. Today, we are honored to have Mr. Devesh Chawla, who is here to share about his wealth of experience in dynamic leadership and entrepreneurship. So let's dive into the conversation. Welcome to another exciting episode of our podcast series, College to Corporate Insights Unplugged, Season 3, Episode 4. Welcome to the show that delves into the dynamic world of business leadership, entrepreneurship, and strategic growth. This show is brought to you by Corporate Connect at IBS Mumbai. I am your host, Akanksha Shetty, and today we have a very special guest with us. Our esteemed guest, Mr. Devesh Chawla, is an engineer strategist, mentor, investor, TEDx speaker, and let's just say an all rounder. He is highly sought after as a speaker and is known for being a great listener. He founded Chatur Ideas, a heartfelt and sincere effort to create a one stop solution for startups and entrepreneurs, which has been immensely successful. Mr. Devesh has worked with thousands of startups, including Catapult, Strike, Orbit Marketplace, Neos Automation, etc. He also runs programs across colleges and startups, including joint certification courses with IITB ECEL with trainers present all across the country. Mr. Devesh has also been facilitated with numerous awards, including the Youth Leadership Award by the Trade Commissioner of India, the Mahatma Gandhi Sanman Award, and Entrepreneur of the Year 2018. He has been receiving multiple national and international accolades and have been featured in various media, including Forbes, VC Circle, and Economic Times. Devesh, sir, a very warm welcome to you on the podcast series. Thank you
Thank you.
for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing?
Perfectly fine. Okay, sir. So let us begin with the questions.
Surely.
Okay. So, sir, please tell us about your journey from corporate to being an entrepreneur.
So my journey started much before entering into corporate. So while I was in my last semester of my B school, I actually wanted to start something on my own, which is very similar to what today Ola and Uber is doing. So at that point of time, I reached a few set of people to take some guidance, to take some help, but it didn't work. So then
Okay.
I should pick up a nice, cushy job. So I became a wealth manager. I was working for a multi-family office, managing money for ultra HNIs, investing for them across asset classes. Uh, while I was doing that, I realized that Ola Cabs has already entered into the 1,000 crore club in terms of valuation. And I was like, this is not done. I'm like, the founder is of a similar background to mine, similar age, similar model. If he can enter a 1,000 crore club, why couldn't I? And at that point of time, it struck me that perhaps I didn't have the right kind of ecosystem or support that could actually help me to traverse my path of entrepreneurship. And that time I thought about creating an ecosystem where I can get entrepreneurs, investors, and mentors together. And hence I said it started much before my corporate life. The idea was in my last leg of my B school, but during my corporate, I realized I can do this. Then I put down my papers. I started off Chatur Ideas, where I developed an ecosystem of entrepreneurs, investors, and mentors, and started off. Uh, it was a time where we started with zero. There was nothing. For first 18 months, there was zero revenue. Wasn't sure if I made the right call, but today where we stand, it's to a different level. Today, worked with thousands of startups, have thousands of investors on our network. We have Fortune 500 mentors on our board. We are among the top few startup enabling platforms in the country. So it's been a journey actually from zero to one, and have witnessed that. So that's how the journey has been for us from college to corporate.
Amazing, sir. Lovely. So, what in so I think that is self-explanatory that what inspired you to create Chatur Ideas. So,
Right.
sir, I wanted to know what motivated you to create Chatur Wealth and how does it benefit investors?
Surely. So, I have been into the markets, investing into the markets and trading in the markets for the last 15 years. So it's been a passion for me, to understand the markets, invest into them, see if I can trade as well. And what I realized that, I was being able to generate good, decent amount of returns for myself. I thought, why not create a legacy out of it? So, for instance, Chatur Ideas today, we have seen it started from zero today. It's done pretty well for itself. It's been an institution in itself, and it's more or less on an autopilot mode, if you see. So, for me, the entrepreneurial Kida was still thriving in to say that एक चतुर आइडियाज तो बन गया अभी next क्या. Then I thought, why not to create Chatur Well, where the trades that I do, if I can convert them into an automated platform where the trades happen on its own through an artificial intelligence engine and automation, and I can deliver returns. So I put my trades into a mathematical formula, started seeing how it works. Initially, it was giving decent returns, but I wasn't happy with them. So started working, creating some mathematical formula. So if you would have heard, there's something called quant trading, which is based on technical as well as fundamental. Chatur Wealth has developed algorithms which work only on mathematical formula. So for that, you do not need to look at the charts and the trade on its own. So whether the market is moving up, down, or sideways, there are strategies which can perform in each one of these markets. And for the last 5 years, we have been able to generate on an average 40 to 50% per annum. There have been years we have outperformed most of the mutual funds and hedge funds globally. So for us, that's what Chatur Wealth is and how it impacts the investors. Of course, if they can put some part of their wealth, I wouldn't say 100%, take it as an alternate asset class where they might want to put their alternate asset allocation to this asset class and see some good returns in their portfolio and creating an alpha for themselves.
Okay, right, definitely. So, sir, can you share some key challenges that the startups that come to you they face in the early stages and how can they overcome them?
So, startups, Akanksha, face multiple challenges. The biggest challenge is that they first create a solution and then they're searching for the problem. And it has to be the other way around, where you first figure out the problem and then work towards the solution. For which I usually tell them to do an empathy study and design thinking combined together, where they actually go out to their customers, understand from them what is the problem that they're facing, how they can solve them, and is the output that they've created in terms of service or product, is it meeting with the customer's needs? Even crowdsourcing the pricing has to be done from the customers. In fact, if they do this kind of exercise, they would be definitely sure that they're actually solving a problem and not creating a solution first and then hunting for a problem. That's number one. Number two, I see the problem startups face is they don't have a strong team. So it's very important that you need to have a very, very strong team to execute. So today, if you ask anybody walking on the street to think of $1 billion idea, I'm sure at least 80% of them can think of it. But can all the 80% execute that? I think hardly zero point 0.5 or 1% of them can actually execute that idea to become $1 billion or a unicorn for that matter. So the other thing is most of these guys don't have the execution capability, neither the founders nor their team. So it's pretty important that they need to have a very strong execution capability at the top level as well as at the team level. So I think that's the second thing that they need to focus on. Third is the unfair advantage. So what also happens is a lot of startups come with the Me Too concept, where if somebody is building a Flipkart, even I want to build a Flipkart. If somebody is building a hyper local platform, I want to build a hyper local platform. Everyone should copy the other. There is nothing that they've
Right.
created an edge. So I think that unfair advantage is the edge that they need to create, they need to work on so they can differentiate themselves from the competitors and be better than them.
Okay.
The list can go on, so I'll
Got
stop at three today.
Yes, I think we do get a fair idea about what the challenges are. I mean,
Surely.
yeah. So can you tell us like how has your experience as a mentor and an investor shaped your approach to helping startups?
So, what happens is when I come as a mentor or as an investor with my portfolio companies, there's a lot of involvement. There's a lot of learning that even I keep getting in when I work with these companies. So, for instance, there was this company who reached out to us who said that, we want you on our board as a mentor as well as an investor. Can you help us? So, right from building their technology to helping them form teams to getting them to offices to launching them in the US at the Tech Disrupt event, which is one of the largest technology events globally, to getting them an offer from a Fortune 500 company to acquire them. What happened was I was also learning that how much can happen. It was just a seed, and we
Right.
saw it bamboo shooting and becoming a huge tree, right? So, as a mentor, the learning for me is immense because I keep learning from my mentees, my investee companies. And at the same time, the involvement also comes in to help them with the successes and failures that I have seen in my life. I can share that with them and shape them in a much better manner. So I think that's what
Right.
the impact happens when you come on board as a mentor or as an investor.
Perfect. Got it. So, sir, can you share some success stories from these startups that you've worked with, like Catapult and Hubilo?
Surely. So Hubilo, uh, it's an event tech platform. So I invested in that company somewhere in 2016. Somewhere in 2020, it raised its next round, which was a $4.5 million round. And my investment in 4 years had become 8 times. So that
Wow.
was very nice and was a wow moment, of course. And that
Mhm.
also happened during the peak of the COVID time. So if you remember, it was 2020 was the peak of COVID time. So I think that deal was happening in August to September. And
Mhm.
during that time, most of portfolio companies, we were wondering even they would survive the COVID period or no. And here we were getting an exit. So the option was that, we could have taken the entire ATEX or not take it. So what I proposed was, I was like, I would like to just take my principal back and keep the 7 times money invested in the company. But apparently the founder wanted to move from Ahmedabad to SF in USA. And,
Right.
somehow he insisted that, we should all take our money out uh, because it makes more sense in terms of the FEMA rules, etc. So we
Mhm.
all exited our money. But what happened was, so of course, that's a success thing that it became 8 times. But what also happened was within 6 months, when they moved to the US, they raised another round of $23.5 million. So that 8 times would have
Mhm.
become 40 times. And after that, within a year, they raised another $100 million. So that 8 times would have become 150 times. So in a hindsight, it
Right.
is success as well as failure because success is you got 8 times. And where you feel bad is that, if you would have held longer, perhaps that would have grown to 150 times. Again, with
True. True.
Catapult was one of India's largest crowdfunding platforms. We invested into that. We helped them raise funds. Because also then they got acquired by Desired Wings. So you keep spending a lot of time with these companies, and you also enjoy the curve that they take to grow up. Since you asked me about success, I've only talked about success, but having said Akanksha, there also have been failures also. So there have been investments where I've invested and have not seen the light of the day. But I think that happens with the best of the best investors globally. So if you invest into
Right.
20 companies, say perhaps two of them would become multi-baggers. It in the remaining 18, they would either be at principal or would give you double or triple your money or maybe 10 times your money. Some may even shut down. So I think that's the cycle of an
Hmm.
angel investor that when you're investing into a company, you need to be mentally prepared. Not only an angel, even a VC for that matter.
Okay. Perfect. Got it. So, sir, how do you see the startup ecosystem in India evolve in the next few years?
So, currently I see we are on the cusp of that inflection point where we are going to see a boost that's going to come in. So,
Hmm.
currently, if you even look at most of the global money is coming to India. In fact, even on the listed market space and the equity space, perhaps we are sitting on the mother of all bull markets, at least for the next decade. And a lot of international money is flowing into India, whether it's the FDI, the FII, in the stock market, into businesses, into manufacturing. It is
Right.
increasing by leaps and bounds. And what I feel is Indian startup ecosystem is going to benefit the most. We are already the third largest ecosystem globally, We are increasing our ranks on the global innovation index dramatically. So I think all of these pointers contribute to only one thing or point only in one direction, that we're the cusp of actually growing pretty big, and the startup ecosystem is going to get huge, at least in the next 10 years, if not more.
Okay, got it. So, sir, since you have also been running entrepreneurship programs in colleges, how has been your experience running those? And how has, do you see a narrative being built between the startup ecosystem and running these entrepreneurship programs?
Surely. So if you see, in 2015 or 16, I acquired a company called as Nurture Talent Academy. At that point
Okay,
of time, that was India's first institute for entrepreneurs, which had trained close to 34,000 entrepreneurs across 125 plus cities and 450 colleges. So
lovely.
after doing that, we took that base and expanded our network across colleges in India. Why are we doing that? We have a goal, we have a motive. We want to see at least, if not more, 1 crore entrepreneurs by 2047 is what we are looking for. Now, to reach that mark of touching 1 crore by 2047, we need to start from the grassroots level. And when starting from the grassroots level, colleges are the best platform to do that, right? Because we have
Right,
young entrepreneurs there, we have young minds, fresh minds. So we need to cultivate that entrepreneurial bent of mind in those young minds. So hence, we run these entrepreneurial training programs across the country. We also run the joint certificate course with IIT Bombay's ECEL as well. Uh, how is this impacting Akanksha is basically, if you see, you cannot teach somebody to be an entrepreneur. It is something that comes from
mm,
within. And hence, what
right,
you can do maximum is you can give them a framework so that they walk the right path. If you see today, the successful startups globally would not be beyond 3 to 5%, right? 95%
right.
shut down the shop. To
Yeah,
increase the number from 3 to 5 to say 20, 25, we need to ensure at least they have the right roadmap that they need to walk to ensure they're successful. And that's the reason why we are, you know, running our entrepreneurial programs across institutes so that they get the right framework. And then once they know the framework, then they know how to use their infra advantage, how to build a model, how to work on it, how to put in their efforts, and how to execute it at the best.
right. Got it. So I think I completely resonate with the fact that you said that entrepreneurship comes from within. It is not that something that is taught externally. Completely
Absolutely right.
agree to that. Yeah, yeah. So, sir, what this is a very unique question, I guess. But I would like to understand that since you're a good listener, you're a good speaker. So, how has this impacted your role in your professional life?
So, it's very important to be a good listener because if you listen, you get to learn more. And it's also important to be a good speaker because if you can speak well, you can impact more lives. In fact, if you pick up the best of the best leaders globally, they are good speakers because that's how they are able to reach the masses and create a revolution, right? So, of course, that helps in the professional life to create more impact. Being a good listener, so that also comes from the personal life, being married. So, you have to listen to your wife at home. So, you end up being a good listener. So, but in professional life, it really works because the more you lend a ear to people around you, the more they are receptive to what you speak. So I think it needs to be a balanced combination of being a good listener as well as being a good speaker.
Right, sir. So, sir, I think we have learned so much today from you. I mean, I can see getting so many insights regarding our professional careers. Can you share like a motivational message with our listeners who are just preparing to embark in their professional careers?
So can I put this in a form of a shairi?
Definitely.
So the shairi goes this way: काम ऐसा करो कि नाम हो जाए, काम ऐसा करो कि नाम हो जाए, कदम ऐसे चलो कि निशान बन जाए। जिंदगी तो हर कोई काट
Amazing.
लेते हैं दोस्तों, जिंदगी तो हर कोई काट लेते हैं दोस्तों, तुम इस कदर जियो की मिसाल बन जाए।
Amazing. Beautiful shairi. Amazing.
थैंक यू।
Yes, sir. So, sir, how was your experience sharing your knowledge with our audience? Did you enjoy the podcast?
Absolutely, yes, Akansha, your questions were very nice, and it was a good experience hearing questions, answering them. I hope it was insightful for all of you guys as well, listening on the other
Absolutely.
side.
Yes, yes.
That serves the purpose. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you so much, Devesh sir, for being on board. I mean, it was truly a pleasure to do the podcast with you. And I'm sure our audience is going to feel the same way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 4. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We are also on Spotify now, so follow us on social media for more great content. Stay tuned for episode 5.